Alright, what's going on guys, Slim here, and today's video I have a commentary for y'all where we're going to be talking about why Storm is mid right now in the meta. Now, I know this is a little bit controversial. You have some in the community being like, oh my god, Storm is broken, but we're really going to dive deep into the facts on, why that isn't the case and, why players might be feeling this way. I also got your boy Lost Griff here as well. His channel will be in the description below if you want to check him out, but he's on the feature today, so.
Yes, sir, dude.
Yeah, I think we're gonna go over the positives right away, since there's hardly any positives about the school. So, one thing that's really helpful for Storm is obviously the pure damage on the cards, right? Rusalka doing 1350, Storm Owl doing like, 1500, 1600, right? So, obviously your hits do a lot more than other schools, which is nice for Storm, obviously. So you have obviously the pure damage on the card, that is pretty nice. And then the only other beneficial thing we gotta think of is the amount of hit and buffs Storm has. And now keep in mind guys, Storm needs the hit and buffs. They need the most damage on their cards to balance out the school, right? Because why else would we be getting, 20 less resist, 3000 less health, all that stuff, right? So yeah, you have like Hidden Bubble, you have Hidden Blade, you have what else is there? Hidden Trap. I don't know what else there is. You correct me if I'm wrong, but
yeah, I mean, I was gonna say like the one thing about Storm, like before we even start on the negatives, the one thing I will say about Storm is like they do have a really solid like Chad hit that's been good. Like throughout every single meta has always been consistently usable. Rusalka, and then of course they have like probably some of the best hit and buffs in the game. So there's already like two very strong positives. Don't get me wrong. I do think like it isn't just like like throwaway like not very positive things. They're still great and it's definitely makes itself stand out. But then again, you have to kind of have like other things that we're gonna mention to back it up. But that's what Storm doesn't have right now.
Yeah, so those are the only two positives we could come up with really. If you guys have any ideas on the comments below, you can feel free to correct us. But yeah, let's just get right onto the negatives right away, I guess. Alright, so the first thing I'm going to talk about are the stats on the Storm and how awful they are compared to a Death Wizard, because, Death right now, everybody kind of knows Death has more damage than the Storm, more Pierce than a Storm, if not the same, more crit than a Storm for some reason, and a little bit more block than a Storm, while they have perfect accuracy and perfect pips, and more health. And they have Headless, which is Storm damage per pip, and Minotaur, which is Storm damage per pip. So it's kind of the easiest one to compare to. Don't get it wrong, I'm not hating on Death. It's just objectively, those are things that are in the meta right now. And I'm going to show that to you guys real quick. So, first thing I'm going to look at is the Glass Cannon Storm build. The exact same everything compared to the Glass Cannon Death build. So, you had about 8.2k health, 163 damage, only 43 resist. You can base fizz by about 7%, I believe, or 8%. I don't know. I can't add because I'm stupid. You have 650 crit, which, technically I think is the highest. I could correct me if I'm wrong. I think Myth actually might get a bit more. But, it's okay, I guess. But then your block rating gets absolutely butchered. Now, I could run Supreme Wand, but even then I only have, 490 crit or block rating, so it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad still. Then you have 50 Pierce, which, is pretty good for a Storm. That is about 4 more than Death. So objectively speaking, Storm does get a little bit more. Then your Pip chance is not perfect, which, is a pretty big red flag. Your Shad rating is decent, and your Conserve is, kind of mid. But, so we'll check out Griff stats here then. So he has 10,000 health, so 1,800 more health than me with, obviously 2 cards that are Storm damage per pip. He has 9 less damage than Storm, but he has 10 more resist. He has perfect accuracy, right? He is missing the Mercy Wand, by the way, so that's why his crit and block stats aren't that good right now, but they're still, way better than mine, way better than mine. Then he has 44 Pierce, missing the rock mount for 100 pips, and yeah, it's really about it. So you kind of see what the correlation is here. Death has like almost 2,000 more health than Storm, about the same damage. way more resist, perfect accuracy, perfect pips, you know, the same crit, better block rating, cards that are storm damage per pip, cards like Grim Reader that are like always a good move 90% of the time. You know, it's pretty out of pocket, right? And then you can compare this to a lot of the other schools like Life or Balance as well. But Death is the easiest to pick apart because, you know, of how objectively broken it is right now in the current meta. And obviously, this isn't the best Storm build, but, you know, if we're going to be fair and compare, you know, the exact same pieces of gear to the exact same pieces of gear, this is kind of what I mean when Storm is, like, really bad right now. But if I swap to the meta gear, you'll see that, you know, some of the stats do get a bit better, but it still actually isn't, you know, even close to being remotely fair, right? So, I am missing the accuracy thing, by the way, so I'll have 8.8k health, roughly, 145 damage, which is 9 less than Griff, so a Death has more health, right? The same resist, more damage, but now I get perfect accuracy, and I get perfect pips, right? But
same Pierce, by the way.
Yep, same Pierce. I have it's about the same block rating actually with this build when he switches his wand, obviously. So yeah, then I have less crit. So basically, if we put the meta stuff on, he has more damage, more health, same resist, pips and accuracy is fair. He has the literal exact same Pierce as a Storm Wizard, which don't know why. About the same block rating, he probably would have more with the Mercy Wand, and he has more critical, right? So you kind of see the issue that Storm is having right now. Their stats are just really, really bad, both Glass Cannon and with the Motorist build. Some things, you know, the community has thought of is, you know, buff Storm's health maybe, or, you know, obviously audit the Mercy gear to give a bit more accuracy so Storm can actually compete. Another thing I want to pick apart here is, if we want to look at, the Merciless Storm Robe and compare it to the Merciless Death Robe, you know, why does a Death have 8 Pierce on their robe when a Storm has 8 Pierce on their robe? One is supposed to be like a mid-tier damage school, and the other one is supposed to be the hardest hitting school in the entire game. So I don't really quite understand this, and you know, when you dive deeper into it, like if I go on my Myth Wizard, for example, Myth is supposed to be the 3rd hardest hitting school, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Myth actually gets 7 Pierce, so Death gets more Pierce than a Myth when Myth is supposed to be a harder hitting. It doesn't make any sense, right? So the gear audit basically is my point. It was handled very poorly, and Storm kind of did get shafted in this gear audit, so I don't know. Is there anything you want to add, Griff?
So what I wanted to add is like, in general, I feel like, don't get me wrong, just because of like with the positive we mentioned earlier, I feel like Storm can trade pretty decent, or at least get some decent trades. Most of the time, if they're running Thunderbird, if they're not deck failing, mutates and stuff like that. But at the same like time, if you're looking objectively at a Storm versus a Balance or a let's say an Ice who's playing, you know, at a sufficient level, at the same level, logically you cannot like actually bring yourself to out trade one of them because of how different and how disadvantageous the stats are. You're basically like in the same running, you're like in the same like going towards the same finish line, but you're not going to be able to like, you know, compete as you know, as good as someone else might be able to. So that's how I feel like it is with like Balance and Ice, and you know, like even like Life to an extent, even though they're, you know, quite weak. Is not only that, but they can also afford some of their talents to be wards or mighty or anything like that, that might even benefit their stats even more than schools like Storm and Fire.
Yeah, exactly.
Right accuracy.
Yeah.
So
if I want to swap some talents out, if I want to swap to a ward pet or something, I'd have to give up Breaker and Dealer, and then if I give up Dealer, Death still has more damage than me, and they will have more Pierce than me as well, right? So it's really bad. And also another thing I noticed when Griff was talking, if we look at the hat here, for example, why do I only have 1 more damage than a Death Wizard? Can we talk about this? Can we talk about this?
1 Pierce and 1 damage.
Why do I only have 1 more damage? Again, Death is supposed to be a mid-tier hitting school, and Storm is supposed to be by far the most hardest hitting school in the game, right? Uh, what's up with that? And why am I only getting 2 more accuracy than a death on each piece of gear, right? He has 4, I have 6. He has 3, I have 5. He has 5, I have 7. Don't really understand that, right? Death has 15 accuracy, or whatever, it's 15% chance to fizzle, and Storm has 30, so why am I only getting 2 more in that department when there's a whole extra, like, 15%, like, discrepancy or whatever, bro? Like, that's, like, what? I don't know. The point here is just the gear audit was just, you know, really bad, and I don't really know what else to say, man. Like, the numbers just kind of talk for themselves, you know? I don't know.
Yeah, I remember like whenever this first came out in test from, I legit thought this was just like a testing thing. Whenever I saw the comparison, I go into my storm and I looked at the merciless gear, and then I hopped on my death. I was like, okay, wait, they're probably just, you know, they're probably gonna change the numbers a little bit. It's just like obviously, you know, really early build of the merciless gear. I get it. Nah, dude, it's really bad. Like it's the discrepancy is crazy. The only boots that even are the only pair of gear that even is like close to making sense, and even then, not even really, is the boots, because there's a 5 damage difference and a 2 pierce difference, and I see where they're going with that. Like there's, you know, 5 more resist on the death boots, etc., etc. Like, you know, it looks a little bit better. It looks a little bit more fair, but even if that was like the difference, it still obviously prefers death, because 5 more resist is a lot better than 2 pierce 5 damage.
Yeah, and it's also
the
intersected
extra health.
damage too, as well.
Exactly. Like I feel like they should know the trade-off of like, okay, you know, let's say death, 3 less damage, 2 less pierce at the very least. Like that's at the very least. And okay, we'll give them like 3 more res, 4 more res, maybe like 100 more HP, and like that's like I think a decent trade-off to be making. But the difference is that like that doesn't happen, and not only that, they don't get reimbursed for their accuracy either. So regardless of that stats and damage you gain, you're gonna have to give up the extra pierce, or the extra mighty jewel you might be able to put on, or the extra ward you might be able to put on. Like you can't even win with that situation.
Another thing I want to bring up too is some counter arguments I heard in the comments below, or just in my chat really, when I hear people trying to, you know, defend Storm or be against Storm, is like, oh, just swap to the Malister robe or something. I'm just sitting, bro, like, what other school has to do that? You give up way too much stats, right? Just swap to the Chrysalis Athame for the extra pierce. My boy, I can't do that because I'll have 6,000 health and my stats will be horrible, and it's not fair because every other school, like, they just get it better then, right? So, like, that argument just doesn't really work here, guys, unfortunately. Like, I get it, I know you're trying to help, but objectively it just doesn't help, and it's just not fair. So, I don't know. That's really all I think we have about the gear audit point. We'll see what else we have for you guys here. Alright, so upon further investigation, I guess that's really all we have to say. I guess it's just how bad the Storm stats are. And another thing I want to bring up right now is also, you know, every other school, especially the defensive schools right now, get about the same damage as a Storm Wizard, right? I have my wrong pet on right now, I think. I gotta put this one on. Something like this. Why does my ice, right? Why does my ice have about the same damage as a Storm Wizard, right? Don't quite understand that. Like, what's the school identity there, really? Don't understand it. I am happy that, you know, I can play offensive ice if I want to, right? But the issue is, I feel like with a lot of the Highland gear, you can just get, you know, a bunch of defensive gear and still have like 150 damage, right? So, I don't know what KingsIsle could do to really fix this, to be honest. Maybe just, you know, audit Highland gear, or audit, you know, Mercy gear in general. I guess maybe both of them to make it a bit more more balanced right now. Because Ice especially, right? A TC buffed Lord of Winter does like, it's literally done 3.5 to me on my Storm without a rounding error. You know, at that point, you're just kind of scratching your head. That's half of a Storm's health, right? When this guy is supposed to be on the weakest school in the game, right? It's just kind of like, huh? Like, what do you mean? What do you mean, dude, right? So, I don't know, man. I just think it's kind of unfair how every school gets the same damage, if not more damage than Storm right now in the current meta, and I just feel like the best solutions would be, you know, audit the Highland gear and audit the Mercy gear. What do you think, Griff?
In general, yeah, I just think the audit needs a heavy, you know, relook, and kind of like how they went back. You know how they went back with spells and made like a DPP type thing, I can kind of like, you know, made it like, okay, you know, if a balance is hitting, I should have a 90 DPP and like a 120 on chat. You know what I mean? Like they have like that kind of standard. I feel like it should be kind of similar, or at least a benchmark, to you know, gear that's on different schools. Like for example, they could be like, okay, this school will have like an 80% you know damage ratio on this gear, and then like an 80% pierce ratio, but we'll have like 120% resist ratio. So like it balances each other out, like you know, in comparison to like a storm or something. Like for example, if I'm on a life, I should have like you know 70% of the pierce, 70% of the damage that a fire gets on a piece of gear, and then like 130, 120% of the resist, you know, to make up for it, and then a little bit more health. To be like, okay, yeah, you're playing this defensive school with less damage on the cards. You know, we should probably make it so that these stats are equal and fair and actually defensive, not like 150 damage, 35 pierce on an ice or something like that.
Yeah, well, I just don't get though. Like a good example right now is why, you know, my ice. If I have my right gear on, why, you know, why does my storm only have 4 more pierce than an ice? Like, how does 4 like the same damage, right? 4 pierce does not make up for like 13 more resist, 4,000 more health just about, right? And like all the crit stats. Like I was just looking at that. Like what? 4 pierce makes up for that? Like nah, bruh. What do you mean? Or you could also look at life as well, right? Life is a good, you know, advocate for this example as well. Like what are they thinking? How is 4 pierce supposed to be like 4,000 extra health, right? It doesn't make any sense. I don't know, man. That's just something else I was looking at. But yeah, I think that's all we got for the video. I think, right, Lost Griff?
Yeah, honestly, that's pretty much all I really have to say. Again, I just want to say like this again as another PSA. Storm and Fire don't have bad spells. Their spells don't need like buffed or anything. The stats are just so like egregiously bad and affect your ability to trade as an offensive school so much, especially against you know the best school that controls school balance right now. But that's a whole other thing. But like I don't know, it just feels really hard to trade someone at the same skill as you in this game right now on an offensive school.
I guess since we're on that topic, bro. I remember this one time, right? My buff just socket is 4.2, and this guy's buffed mock does like 3.4, and I'm just sitting there like, bro, only 800 more when he has like 2,500 more health than me. Like what? It's like
Yeah,
what? If I just keep
matter.
trading, if I keep you know playing well and like trading first, I'm still gonna lose. It's like what? I don't know, man.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think that's really about all we got for the video. Again, Griff's channel will be in the description below or in the pinned comment. Really depends on where I feel like putting it, so it'll be there. It'll be there. You guys should check him out. He's on the come up, bro. He's gotten like 4,400 subs. He was at
Let's
like
go, dude. Let's hit 500, dude.
yeah, bro. He was at like 200 a while ago. He's blowing up, no cap. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it. And as always, be respectful in your opinions in the comments below. You know, we're not trying to roast each other or anything. We're just trying to, you know, all make the game better and make more sense for everybody playing it. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys in the next one. Thank you for watching, and as always, take care, guys.